Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nerds with Friends. My name is Cody Leach, and as always, I'm joined by Christian Garcia.
You know what? I think one of these days you got to bring in the guitar and just play it live.
Just play it live. We'll do that for a live show. And joined via Zoom is our friend Kristal, formerly of 3 for T podcast, but now she's got something new to talk about. So we will be
hey guys
talking about that in just a minute. Thank you everyone for watching the podcast, tuning in every week. And make sure you leave a subscribe down at the bottom. Leave us some comments and whatnot. We appreciate that. You can check out all of our social media stuff at nerdswithfriendspodcast.com, or you can become a patron on our Patreon at patreon.com/nerdswithfriends. Lots of cool, fun rewards and stuff on there. We do appreciate that. All righty, Kristal. It's been a while since we've had you on. We're excited to have you back.
I think last time was live, right? Yeah,
it could have been. Yeah, back when we could have people around. So.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, it was definitely in person. Yeah.
So you started a new podcast. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was a little sad to have for T kind of disband, but it was time for it. And Ashley and I just really love the sound of our own voices and talking and everything. So we were like, you know what, like we're kind of nerdy, like we like to drink beer too. So let's just sit down and drink beer and talk nerdy stuff. And it's kind of evolved into maybe we're just more like current events and maybe we're just talking type of thing. So it's, a lot of perspective from us as girls in the nerd world. I don't know. Yeah. Well, adding that in, but
that's definitely needed. I mean, it's a sausage party most of the time in the nerd world. So,
what are you drinking? What was that?
So I am drinking a sour beer from Blue Oak called Deep Tropicalia.
Okay. I'm ignorant in sour beers. Can you explain sour beer to me?
They're sour.
Is that really all it is? I don't
know. No. So sour beer is more like a fruity kind of flavored beer. I imagine Cody would describe it as like Fruit Loop beer, like he does Blue Moon.
Yeah, Blue Moon does taste like Fruit Loops.
It does not. But it's not cider. It's still
it's not cider. Yeah, so it actually goes through because. Funny enough, cider goes through a brewing process that's more like wine. So it's actually closer to wine than anything. But this still goes through a brewing process like the hops do. And you have different kinds of sours. So you have the sours that are fruited, meaning that they're brewed along with the fruit. And then there's other ones where you add the fruit in later and everything. I might have gotten that backwards. I'm not an expert in sours in any way. I just know what I like to drink.
That's cool. And so that plays a big part in this new podcast, right? It's called the Sourpuss Podcast. So
yes,
every week you guys are trying something new, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is the second time I've tried from this brewery, but we've talked about their beer before. So every week we were trying a new sour from a local brewery or even sometimes stuff that we find at stores nearby and everything.
So you haven't tried to talk to any of the companies like, hey, sponsor us, send us some free sour beer?
Yeah, with our 2 listeners, I'm sure that they would love to do that.
Definitely something to shoot for. That's for sure.
Definitely. And, maybe eventually doing some collabs with some cool sours and everything that's down the pipes. But for now, we're just kind of building and enjoying what we like. We like supporting the local breweries anyway, and especially now during COVID, when a lot of them have had, strict regulations and closing and everything like that. It's good to support the businesses that are nearby.
Now, do you like other kinds of beers too, or are you just like hardcore into sours now? That's like your whole deal.
So funny thing is I hated beer up until recently. And over the summer, I was finally like, you know what? Everyone's talking about going to breweries. I want to try it. I want to have a beer that I can drink at a brewery and enjoy. So Ashley, my co-host on Sourpuss Podcast, her boyfriend works at breweries and has been for a long time. And he sat me down with all of the different cups and he had me try all of them until I was like, oh, that one. And that was the sour.
Nice.
And so I have it.
You had to spit it out after, like you can't swallow it, or
no? I just took a sip and I drank it. Yeah, but like the cool thing, I guess he benefited because he got to finish all the beers that I was like, no, I don't like that. So he ended up really drunk by the end of it.
All the more classic.
But
Nope.
Bros.
Yeah. So by the end of it, like we had beer, and then slowly as I've evolved, this was like over that summer.
Oh, okay.
Slowly as I evolved, like I've slowly started liking some more. Like last night, my boyfriend and I were drinking a beer, and it looked the same. It was the same color, and I picked his up, and his is an IPA, and I was like, oh, actually that wasn't that bad. So I'm kind of like starting to branch a little bit further. I'm hoping that my palate will adjust and I'll get to enjoy more beers.
Sure. Yeah. And I think like, maybe like a good next step would be like maybe a hazy IPA, because some of those can be kind of fruity and stuff. And, but yeah, it's as long as you're dipping your toes into the beer world, it's only a matter of time before you're being one of those snooty beer hipsters at the
Are there snooty?
Oh my God, I am. I'm like
100%
craft beer sours only.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Blake is totally a beer snob for sure.
He doesn't strike me as a snob. He's an expert, I feel.
100% is. But
he's definitely an expert, and yes, he has a very refined palate.
100%. He's not like shotgunning Coors Light like I did.
I have a feeling his taste in beer is like my taste in movies, where I can enjoy something great, but every now and then you can have then
he would just be fucking shotgunning Natty Ice if you like movies, like if you like beers like you like movies.
I've actually never had a Natty Ice.
They're terrible. They're so bad.
I've had a PBR and I was like, oh, look, I don't know why people drink this.
Yeah, it's cheap. It's cheap as fuck, and people are broke. So I understand that one.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Blake drink anything other than a craft beer.
Yeah,
like I feel like even if he like touched the can, he'd be like, "I need to wash my hands."
Yeah. For me, I feel like cheap beer has its place. You know what I mean? Like
in the garbage.
No, like on a hot day, like I can get down with like a Corona or a Tecate or Coors Light, when it's like super hot and I'm out there to drink all day long.
That's more like if you're trying to hydrate.
Yeah, totally.
It's just like no.
Yeah. Hydrated. It's like water beer.
Not much alcohol in it.
Hell yeah, man. That's what I said. Hot day. You want to get your fluids in, but you don't want to get fucking shit faced immediately. You're in a marathon, not in a sprint. But I do love me some beers for sure. I don't drink as much as I used to, but every once in a while you got to. All right. Well, let's get down to some nerdy business and do some nerdy confessions. Today we'll be talking about Godzilla versus King Kong, which will be after our break. So what was it, King Kong versus Godzilla, or
Godzilla versus King Kong?
Godzilla versus King Kong. So we'll get to that in just a minute. Before that, let's do some nerdy confessions where we confess the things that make us nerds. Why don't you kick us off?
So I restarted, or I'm continuing because I'd paused for a second doing the Drizzt novels. I'm on book 7, and I come to realize they're not good books. But
surprise, Christian likes something that's
on
terrible.
book 7.
But
7 books.
I enjoy the shit out of them still.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not great writing. It's kind of like the same stuff, but I like it. I was like, I still want to listen to the rest of them. Yeah, I mean, I've realized this is a shit book, but I kind of like it. And it can't be that shitty because there's millions of people that love them.
Sure.
So there's something there.
Well, there's a lot of Danielle Steele books and stuff like that people
fair.
like, and I will never read one of those.
I gotta say, you can't rate it by everyone, millions of people loving it, because
people like Harry Potter.
Yeah. Hey. I was like, yeah, no. People like Coors Light, and we all know it's not great. So.
It's true. There's a place for shitty versions of everything.
But I want to hear the rest of the adventures of Drizzt and his buddies. Like I know none of them are gonna die. Probably. They're all gonna always continue. Like I don't know. It's safe. Like the characters are safe. Nothing's gonna happen to them.
Interesting. All right. My nerdy confession this week. Is it's miniature related as they tend to be nowadays. I just recently bought a new airbrush, so now I have 2 airbrushes.
What was wrong with the first one?
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that. So with airbrushes, kind of an interesting thing is how fine they can spray is dependent on how thick this needle going down the middle of them is.
Yep.
And then of course the nozzle that the needle sticks out of, and the one I got as like my first airbrush is called the Badger Patriot, and it's got a 0.5.
That's a very interesting name.
Yeah, it's made in America.
Yeah, that's what a Badger Patriot.
Yeah,
America.
No, the Badger Patriot is like a 0.5 millimeter needle and nozzle, which is pretty big in the world of airbrushing. So it's great for like base coating something or priming something. It works great for that. But when you're trying to do really fine detail, like the shoulder pad of a little space marine or some wizard's little scepter, it doesn't really get detailed enough to do it. So I bought a new one it's a 0.2 millimeter airbrush, and it's the Badger Sotar, which is like it's a very, very fine spray thing. So
I'm wondering if the points are the same like pens, like the Micron pens. Like I wonder if the nozzle's the same.
I mean, it's definitely got a standardized size. So, I'd have to look at those Micron pens to see like what sizes they come in. But if they have a 0.2 millimeter one, that would be about the same as the needle. But that's just the actual point of the needle. It depending on how far back you pull the trigger, it pulls the needle further out of the nozzle and gives you a wider spray pattern.
I didn't even bother to ask, like, how big is the engine? I imagine it's like something fucking tiny.
You talking about like for the air compressor?
Yeah.
So the air compressor is about yay big. I don't know.
That seems kind of big for something that's small, like for the spray. It seems like a lot of pressure coming out of the nozzle.
Well, it's variable, so it can go down to something like 4 psi, but it can go up to like 60 psi. So it's kind of, you can use it for a lot of different stuff. I mean, you could probably hook like a nail gun up to it. It's just
it's
just an air compressor.
Jesus.
So
see, I'm just thinking of like really big balls and small dick.
yeah. Well, I mean, the whole thing is, it's kind of big, and then the airbrush is only about this big, and it's like boop, boop, boop. But I keep it down.
Do that again.
I keep the compressor down on the ground, and it's got like a 7-foot, 8-foot hose that I can go up and spray whatever I need. So yeah, Sotar 2020 it's called. And so far it's cool. I haven't used it a lot. It just came in the mail today, but I'm super excited to do some creamy blends.
Did you get a mask yet?
Maybe.
You're just breathing that shit in?
Whatever, man. You live your life the way you want to live it. I'm going to live it the way I want to live it.
Just looking out for your lungs.
Breathing particles is my favorite thing. Kristal, how about you? What's your nerdy confession?
I'm still stuck on Badger Patriot. All I can think is Badger Patriot, don't care.
Yeah. It's what's so funny about Badger airbrushes is they are very nice. Like, they're well-respected company in the airbrush world. But what's funny is, like, if you look at their website, which I think is badgerusa.com, it looks like it's like hosted on GeoCities from like 1998.
Why do they need to update if customers are going? Yeah, who cares?
Shit works. Yeah, it's kind of like I watch a lot of videos about painting and stuff, and it's kind of a joke amongst painters. They're like, dude, this fucking website is the worst. But they make good stuff, so might as well.
Fuck it.
The next airbrush I want to get is called a Harder and Steenbeck, and it's like fucking $300. So.
Not a Badger, huh?
No, that's
just getting really kinky at this point.
Yeah, I know. It's so stupid. There's so many ways to spend your money in the hobby, and it's just like, oh my god. But Harder and Steenbeck, those are like $300 airbrushes, and like this one guy named Angel Hernandez, he's like a really good miniature painter.
Is he German or Latin?
He's Spanish.
What was the first name?
Angel.
Oh, Angel.
Yeah. Angel Hernandez.
I heard like Angel. Like it sounded hella German. Like when you said it.
Angel Hernandez. Heraldez? I think that's what his name is. But he's amazing.
Heraldez.
And he has like a signature Harder and Steenbeck fucking airbrush that I want so bad. All right, Kristal, what's your nerdy confession?
So my actual nerdy confession is that I absolutely really, really love terrible movies. Yeah. Especially if they're shark related.
You and this guy can go fucking watch.
Right? Like
freaking Sharknado.
All the 5 Sharknados.
Okay,
all of them.
I haven't seen those. I'll be honest. I haven't seen any.
Oh man, I feel like
I'm right up your alley. Shark.
Oh, 5-headed shark. Nice.
I just finished 5-headed shark. Have you seen it, Christian?
No.
It's terrible.
So mine is more towards like sci-fi, fantasy 80s and like 80s like B-rated horror movies. Those are my
Got it. I will do those too. For some reason I just really love the shark ones. So Sharknado, Shark Lake, Avalanche Sharks, where they were in the they're in the snow. The Avalanche.
There's a lot of those kind of movies. I haven't seen them, but I know that there's like a huge.
Yeah. So all
isn't
of
there
the
one called like Megalodon versus giant alligator or something like that? I'm
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
If not, it's in the works.
Lake Placid.
Yeah. Oh, I
love that movie.
Yeah, I remember Lake Placid. Yeah. But there was one that was like, it was like a shark versus either a giant alligator or a giant octopus. There was just like
there's both. There's
nice.
There's Sharktopus versus this, and then this was our favorite one. It was Piranaconda versus shark whale.
Oh God, Piranaconda.
And
what was the
whale?
What was that?
Wolf. It was Sharktopus versus
Sharktopus.
the whale wolf.
Whale wolf. I'm just imagining
I know.
Like a killer whale face and then just wolf legs behind it kicking.
Yeah.
No, it would definitely
just can't swim.
It would be better if the wolf head was there and the whale body.
I like my version better.
Yeah, but how is he breathing? How is he breathing then?
gotta have the blowhole in there.
Yeah, you can still have the blowhole on top.
Yeah. No, he's just doggy paddling with the back legs.
Yeah, you can't.
It's the best.
So basically I'm at the point where I'm like, how many of these can I watch and how far into it can I get before I just tap out because I can't handle the terrible acting and the awful movie.
That's one thing I've always wondered about, especially those kind of movies. You know, when you're an up and coming actor and you get the audition for Sharktopus versus whale wolf or whatever, like who's taking these auditions? You know, is that a goal for someone?
Leonardo DiCaprio's first movie, I think, was like Critters 3.
Yeah,
and like look at him now. Like, so
that's true. And Jennifer Aniston.
There's no auditions. Let's be honest. It's a sign-up sheet.
Yeah.
You just got to get your foot in the door.
Just on a cork board, just on a corner in Hollywood.
Whoever shows up, whoever shows up for the first day of class gets it.
I'm sure there's other actors. Well, Sylvester Stallone, I think, started in porn first.
Yeah, the Italian Stallion or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean Jennifer Aniston was on Leprechaun, you know, which we talked about. I get, you know, it's interesting. But man, there's some real stinkers out there.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
well, you have Ian Ziering, who started out on 90210 and then ended up on Sharknado.
Yeah,
he went the opposite way.
And Tara Reid was in Sharknado too, wasn't she?
Didn't we see him at a bar at Comic-Con? We just didn't approach him.
Yes, I believe so. We saw someone from 90210, but I don't remember that show.
I think it was him from the Shark movies.
Yeah.
He's the blonde guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely saw him. And I was like, should we? And he was like, should we? And I was like, I don't know. I feel like he might react badly.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe not. Like, maybe we won't approach him. Yeah. I was thinking about it. Like, maybe
he's there during Comic-Con. He should expect to be approached.
I get
Sharknado does have a pretty big they have a pretty big like presence at Comic-Con.
But this wasn't
guys walking around
in the convention center. We were at a bar and he was having a drink. I'm like, better we leave him alone.
Yeah. Well, he'd probably appreciate the attention.
I guess so.
I don't know who he is. I mean, I
that was the other thing. I was like, I think he's in Sharknado. I think he was in 90210, and that's the worst interaction to be like, aren't you the guy?
What are you from?
Yeah. Because I didn't do that.
Yeah, I know. That's always rough. Yeah, I've seen that.
Or you call them by their character name. You don't even know their real name.
Or just like, hey, Sharknado guy.
Sharknado guy.
90217 or whatever.
You know you know.
Yeah, you get it. It's not even Beverly Hills zip code. It's like, you know, I don't know.
No.
Visalia or whatever.
It's a place no one fucking cares about.
Alrighty. Well, we're going to take a quick little break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk Godzilla versus King Kong versus a sneak guest, and we'll be right back. And we're back. You like the break? It's pretty Pretty restful.
I had a lot of time to get things done.
Yeah.
Ran around the block like 6 times.
Yeah, me and Christian just sit here in silence for 30 minutes and then just
stare at each other.
Reflect on what we've been doing with our lives, and then we come back and do the show. All right, so we're going to be
sure you were making out. Don't lie.
Yeah.
That's OnlyFans shit. We haven't.
We're building up content for our OnlyFans. All right, we're going to be talking about Godzilla versus King Kong, so there will be spoilers. Oh, that was not enough there. That was not enough. So if you haven't seen it, obviously go watch it. Keep this playing in the background so we get more views and listens, and then come back, and then you can start listening again from the beginning, please. All right. So first of all, were you two fans of both Godzilla and Godzilla King of Monsters?
Yes.
And let's throw Kong Skull Island.
I actually enjoyed Kong Skull Island.
Yep. How about you, Kristal?
I liked Godzilla better. Kong Skull Island, yeah. And then King of Monsters honestly felt a little bit like it was multiple movies. Like it was like 2 directors fighting over it the whole time. So I can't say it was my favorite.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you a little bit on King of Monsters. I feel like they went way too hard on it. You know what I mean? Like Godzilla, has a tough enough time with one, monster, but that one had King Ghidorah, Mothra, Rodan, and
Mothra was on his side.
Yeah, still though. I mean, that's a lot of
somehow we never found out how, but yeah.
There was a lot of just like throwing Godzilla stuff at the wall and seeing what stuck in that movie. There were some really good parts of it, like some of like the fight with Ghidorah with the lightning and stuff like that was awesome.
That was cool, yeah.
And Mothra looked amazing.
Yeah, I didn't think you would be able to make that monster look cool, but they did.
Yeah, they really did. But I'll agree that's probably for me the weakest one. The first Godzilla though, I enjoyed the shit out of it.
Yeah, that was really good.
And it's one of those things too where with Godzilla movies we've been burned before. Like the Matthew Broderick one was.
What are you talking about? Iguana Godzilla? You didn't like it?
Yeah, the Matthew Broderick Godzilla.
That was so good. That was the best one ever.
It was so bad. With Hank Azaria was in it,
I forgot. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I watched the shit out of it as a little kid, don't get me wrong. But that was when I was dumb and didn't know any better.
There's like baby Godzillas running around.
Also, I feel like that one had probably the best marketing of any Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
Because I remember like
it was everywhere.
Cups, there was plates, there was action figures. That we were in the prime time of like good movie tie-in toys back then. All right. And then Kong Skull Island. I enjoyed that one. I had a really good cast, I felt like. And it was kind of cool being like a throwback back in like the Vietnam era. I enjoyed parts of that.
I also like the creatures, the what was it, skull crawlers or
skull crushers
or whatever. Yeah, they were cool looking. I thought they were cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I didn't enjoy the cast.
Yeah, it's because you hate.
Like I hated Samuel. I hated Samuel L. Jackson in that. I hated his character. Like he was too intense. Homeboy was way too intense.
Yeah, it's Samuel Jackson. He's kind of an intense guy.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't fit the rest of it. And then they just had Brie Larson in there. Like she didn't have any like actual like anything to add to the story. She was just thrown in there because like, oh, we need a woman. We
need something to get the SJAs off our back.
He was fine.
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston was great.
And like it was just too many people. It was too many people for me. Like you stopped giving a shit about any of them, and they're all sitting there dying, and you're just like, okay.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like they do add like a very large cast to a lot of these movies, and we're not there to see freaking Bryan Cranston and John Goodman and Samuel L. Jackson. We're there to see freaking monsters blow shit up.
But Skull Island has one of my favorite kills. The guy who gets the grenades and he takes them off. He's like, I'm gonna go sacrifice myself and get eaten by the monster. Yeah. So like I can blow him up from inside, and then the skull crusher, whatever it's called, like looks at him, like almost like he notices the grenades, and instead of like eating him, just hits him with the tail, and he flies into the mountain and then explodes. And I was like, that's fucking awesome.
that was amazing.
I was like, that was
it was such
great.
a pointless death, but
Yeah.
it was so awesome.
I also liked what was it, John C. Reilly, who had been like marooned on the island since like World War II.
Yeah,
He was
good.
So let's talk Godzilla versus King Kong. So now the movie kind of picks up where King Kong has been monitored on Skull Island for years now by the Monarch people.
Yes.
The society or whatever they're
put,
called.
They put a giant dome like a Truman Show.
Yes,
so
like a Truman Show dome.
So he
to
doesn't
protect it from the weather and stuff.
Well, I thought it was,
and also from Godzilla.
From Godzilla, there's like he can't find another Alpha Titan.
Yeah, and that was. And one thing that's kind of funny to me is how much they've learned about Titans and the Hollow Earth and everything since Godzilla showed up like 2
Hollow
years
Earth
ago.
Was still a theory in the movie. They it wasn't confirmed.
That's true. Yeah, there was a theory in the King of Monsters.
Yeah, Skarsgård had a theory, and everyone's like, "That guy's fucking crazy."
Yeah, and this one, but it was amazing how much like they had learned about it. Like they're like, "Oh, Godzilla is attracted to other alphas and blah blah blah." I'm like, I mean, he fought a giant monster. Can we really assume that he's looking for other Titans? We don't know.
Well,
but they
were right.
I mean, they were right. So can't fault them on that. And then one thing that was kind of interesting about Skull Island. So apparently the population of Skull Island got wiped out in a crazy storm, except for the one little, deaf girl who is now like King Kong's best friend.
Yes.
And teaches him sign language. That was pretty cool.
Secretly. Even though they got cameras everywhere. They didn't catch
She didn't teach him. He picked it up and they didn't realize it is what it was.
No, he
saw her doing it to speak and.
No, the little girl said like when the mom,
he told me or whatever.
She's like, why didn't you tell me he could do that? And he's like, he didn't want me to tell you. And it's like,
yeah, who knows?
Okay.
She is just a dumb little girl. I mean, who knows if that's true? But
she seemed a lot smarter than you would think.
But yeah, it was funny that he's under constant monitoring, but somehow they didn't pick up that the little girl and also. I forget the character's name, but the lady who's like her adopted mom who studies King Kong, like she seems like utterly surprised every time the girl's going out and talking to King Kong. I'm like, that seems like their deal. Like they're always talking to each other. Why are you surprised and scared every single time? Like King Kong's not going to do anything. Right?
No, I mean, he didn't even care too much about the humans. He's like, oh, they're there.
Yeah.
Whether they, if they fuck with me, I'll fuck with them. But like for the most part, he kind of left them alone.
Yeah.
But he loved her. He saved her. So that was their like bond,
Yeah. And she's basically the last of the tribe who lived there. And, that was like his only family basically. So, now, what did you think about like him, scratching his butt and taking a shower and stuff like that in the beginning? Did you enjoy that?
I thought that was awesome.
I don't know.
Don't you scratch your ass in the morning and take a shower?
I do, but
there you go.
I'm not a gigantic King Kong monkey.
We're all apes.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought that was a little forced humor. I'm like, I don't need this. Now they
need to show he's still an animal, even though he's humongous.
Yeah, that's true. I guess. Now in the movie, there's a bunch of like separate stories going on. There's King Kong and his like repertoire, which is the little girl and the scientist lady. And then later on, Alexander Skarsgård. And then there's like King Kong, or then there's Godzilla, who is kind of doing his own thing, searching for other alphas. And then there's the podcast guy, and then Millie Bobby Brown.
Yes.
And then the kid from Hunt for the Wilder People in Deadpool.
And the evil corporation guy. I forgot his name.
Yeah, and then there's the evil corporation.
Evil corporation guy is his name.
Yeah,
the
Apex guy.
Apex Cybernetics or whatever. Now, what did you guys think about the podcaster guy and seeing as we're all podcasters?
I enjoyed him. I thought he was funny. He made his own fucking hand sanitizer, and he was like,
he was so. First of all, now maybe this is something that I take personally because of how much work goes into making a podcast.
I know where you're going with this.
But They pretend like he just opens his laptop and just talks into the camera built in on the laptop, and that's where this podcast is coming from. I'm like, that's not how podcasts work,
Cody. That's exactly how we do
And
it.
it's like perfect audio. Like there's nothing in the background or anything.
Yeah, when Millie Bobby Brown's listening to it, she's like, it sounds like a super produced, like he's sitting in a cave somewhere talking in like fancy microphones. He's like, no, he's sitting in his car before he goes to work. Like, God, there would be so much background noise, and that annoyed the shit.
He's an engineer. He probably like engineered his computer to filter the shit out of everything.
Sure. Now, one of the big reveals, kind of like the big moment of the movie, is we reveal that Apex Cybernetics has captured one of the heads of Ghidorah and has like used it somehow to build Mechagodzilla.
Well, they had I don't know if they had all three or if they had two, but
they had one of the heads.
They had one in the building, but the other one was inside Mechagodzilla, and that's how they communicated. Because like the podcaster guy said it, where
the heads talk to each other telepathically.
Yeah, because they were too far away. So
yeah, I mean, it was interesting. It was an interesting take on it for sure.
I called it, by the way. I said it on the podcast, like Mechagodzilla is going to show up.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and it's funny too because like I had a feeling like they might do a Mechagodzilla, but then like the very first scene of the movie, it's like Apex Cybernetics. I'm like, there's a fucking robot in there. Everyone knows that.
It was an interesting take on like explaining also why Godzilla was attacking what they thought were just humans in general, but no, it's specifically Apex because he could sense that what was it, Ghidorah was still around.
Ghidorah, yeah.
Yes. What did you guys think?
I mean, I just felt like we were watching a monster version of Superman versus Batman.
Yeah,
I guess so.
I mean, it was kind of like that, where they basically team up they fight each other first and then they team up to fight the bigger threat.
Yeah, but you know what? They did a Godzilla versus King Kong before Batman vs Superman. So if anything, Batman vs Superman copied King Kong and Godzilla.
That's true. I mean,
you're not wrong.
Yeah, it was putting two people versus each other is a solid movie.
Versus each other and then introducing a third enemy, so then they unite to defeat the common enemy.
100%. Yeah, that's a common movie trope for sure. Now, overall, what did you guys think of the special effects of the movie?
They were great. I thought they were great. And particularly the one scene where you see King Kong coming with his, ape axe coming down with the lights on his face. That was great. I thought the weight was really good, which a lot of CG now, like we always talk about it here, but like weight seems off. Like things will move too quickly. It's like, dude, something that heavy wouldn't be able to move like that. But I definitely feel like they also got the weight right. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. And I think it shows like, take your time, don't rush it, and then things will look better.
Kristal, how about you? What did you think of it?
I had a huge issue with the fighting because Godzilla was fighting like a boxer with his tiny little arms and not like an animal anymore. And I was like, he didn't use his tail really. Like it wasn't the same fight that you would seen Godzilla do in the first Godzilla movie.
Right.
And it's like, okay, it just seemed to me like they were like humans fighting in like, it could have been the Power Rangers for all I know. It's humans fighting in the robots.
The dudes in the big rubber suits, that's how it's paying homage to the old original ones where they're just like dudes with their hands. I thought it just killed me. Yeah, there was a lot of good like Godzilla, radiation breath going on. That was pretty cool, I thought. And then the Mecha Godzilla was cool with the missiles and things like that. I think the one scene that kind of sealed it for me as far as like special effects go was the boat scene where Godzilla and King Kong fight for the first time. And, you see, King Kong when he climbs back up onto the aircraft carrier or whatever it was. And like the water is like sheeting off of his fur and stuff. It looks so good.
And he pukes it.
Yeah.
But you had both of them fighting on that aircraft carrier. Like there's no way that both of them could have handled their weight without sinking under.
Yeah. I don't know what those aircraft carriers can take, so I'm not gonna say one way or another.
I don't know. The only way to find out is we need to bring Mythbusters back. Build a giant robot Godzilla.
That fight actually had me nervous. I'm like, dude, like if this is not a fair fight for Kong. Like he's not he's in Godzilla's territory. Like that one, I was
not a strong swimmer.
So he loses that match. I'm like, that's not fair. It was on his territory.
My whole thing is like,
it's true. Why didn't they do the air? Like, and then they're like, oh, let's do a helicopter. And it's like, why didn't you?
That was an option the whole time. Not the same thing. Like, what the fuck? We could have just. Why are we going on this boat? We know Godzilla lives in the ocean.
I mean, dude, like, I'm sure it takes a lot of fuel from Skull Island, which was, I think, somewhere tropical, all the way,
Well, here's one funny thing. Did you notice in the opening credits they showed where Skull Island was? It's off. It's like, I don't know, half an hour south of Hawaii. Oh. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. But they had to go all the way
too close. Yeah.
No, I think what they're doing is they're doing it by the flat Earth theory.
Oh yeah. Exactly. Now, another thing, let's talk about like the world building in this movie. Because now we've confirmed that there's a hollow Earth where like down in the middle of Earth, there's like another kind of Earth that's both like upside down and right side up. And there's a bunch of monsters that live there. And apparently at one time there was a society of King Kongs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they gave us enough information to say if it was humans that were there that built stuff, or if it was the Kongs or whatever you call them, the giant. I forgot the Latin name they gave him.
Apes, gorillas.
I thought that was cool. He got a throne which he sat in. I thought that was pretty fucking cool.
And there's like a bunch. He has like an axe made out of a Godzilla scale. And then there was a bunch of axes down there too. So like at one point there might have been like an army of King Kongs,
which they lost. Obviously.
But how did they get the Godzilla scale? Like I want to know that part. Like, because when Godzilla sees it in the fight, he knows that he can interact with it to charge it up and help King Kong do that. So was it that they were allies and like they gave them that scale, or was it that the Kongs killed Godzilla's like type and made the axes out of them?
It could have also been like, I don't know, he sheds and drops them, they just picked it up.
Well, there was a big skeleton in there that may have been like a Godzilla skeleton. And I mean, one Godzilla is going to make a bunch of axes.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So maybe it took a bunch of King Kongs to take down one Godzilla. This is turning into a really stupid sentence that I'm saying. Maybe there's a bunch of King Kongs and they killed like one Godzilla, and then and then there was another Godzilla later on that came back and fought the King Kongs and killed.
Well, I mean, Godzilla had to come from somewhere, so he had parents, and so did Kong.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Chicken or egg?
Yeah, the Godzilla or the egg. I think it's interesting. I mean, it definitely opens up a lot of, new avenues to like take this film franchise. I would, for one, would love to learn more about like the Hollow Earth and like, the history of the Titans and where they kind of came from and stuff.
The sun, how it works down there, because they definitely have a sun.
There's light coming from somewhere.
They have a little tiny sun in there somewhere.
just little tiny sun. That's the core. That's the Earth's core.
They have like plant life at some point too, and it's like what?
Like full on jungles. It's like, how do you get air down there?
That's it. They took off. They walked out without like helmets or anything, and I was like.
And I remember, I think it was either in this movie or one of the previous ones where they were talking about how when they first introduced the Hollow Earth theory, they were saying like, oh yeah, everything, all the Titans down there live off the crazy radiation coming from the Earth's core. But everyone down there was just walking around with like no suits on.
Nah, they're fine.
Just getting freaking irradiated. I thought it was also kind of interesting how, in previous King Kong, not King Kong, because that was back in the 60s and 70s, but in the previous Godzilla ones, like everything's modern day, like it's everything was modern technology, and now in this one they have giant robots and little like center of the earth spaceship things.
For sure.
I mean,
they also traveled. What was it, from like L.A. to Japan and
Beijing? Oh yeah, it was it Beijing? Where they went underground. There was like an underground high-speed rail. Like a lot of stuff, a lot of technology got advanced in a short amount of time between these movies. But again, I feel silly nitpicking a monster movie, What were some problems you guys had with the movies? things you did not care for.
I didn't like the Godzilla one twice. It should have been even. It should have been even. I don't like that the movie kind of pinned it that Godzilla was the better Titan. I would have preferred if it was equal. Like you didn't know which one was better. That kind of bugged me, but only because King Kong is my favorite. Like I love King Kong better than Godzilla, so I'm biased in that part. So,
Kristal, how about you?
I'm the opposite. I love Godzilla over King Kong, but I had issue with the fight scenes and that kind of stuff. I felt again like we had a bunch of characters and casts and everything that were just extra. Like we didn't necessarily need, like, I love Millie Bobby Brown, but we didn't need her or the podcast guy or any of that kind of stuff to figure things out. Sure. They didn't really move the plot line along. And once in the inside of the core and everything with the daughter and all of that, like that just was unnecessary to me. Her whole character and everything. Yeah,
I feel like there was, that they were trying to introduce too much. There's like the evil cybernetics guy. There's an Asian guy who drove Mecha Godzilla, which was he in one of the other movies?
No,
he looked familiar. So. Okay.
No, he wasn't.
There's that. And then the super bitch daughter who went down to the core with them. And it's just like you're introducing all these people and I have to instantly know that they're evil and instantly give a shit. And that's a hard thing to balance in a movie about monsters fighting each other.
It was satisfying.
While you're trying to show us that things are in the middle of the earth, like it's just a lot.
They're trying to do a lot. And it's like, in one sense, I like that they built a bigger world around these monsters. And it's not just like, oh, they show up out of nowhere and fight each other. I think that they did a good job of world building, but I think, it was a little clunky in how they did it. They introduced way too many characters that they didn't necessarily need, But
what I was going to say, it was satisfying watching her get crunched by King Kong, where he just grabs him. He's like, looks inside first, make sure anyone I care about? No.
Yeah, exactly. And just like smushes her. And then, I think overall though, I really enjoyed the movie. There's always going to be like little things here, but I feel like it's getting a lot of heat on the internet.
Is it? I thought people loved it.
I don't know.
I enjoyed it.
I've been seeing a lot of people like, oh, it's so stupid. It's just a bunch of monsters fighting. I'm like, well, duh.
That's what you signed up for.
Yeah.
That's what Godzilla is. Yeah. What did they expect?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not looking for, freaking Schindler's List here. I want freaking monsters fighting each other.
Also, I want to say, since we were
I want more of monsters fighting each other. Though. That's what I wanted. Less plot and more of the monsters.
Yeah,
I did enjoy the bird bat things. They looked really cool. Like particularly
the ones that were in the Kong cave.
Yeah, you get a little close up. I was like, oh, even the CG on that looked really great. Like looked like all wet and gross looking. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, or like when Godzilla gets stabbed in the leg by the axe, you're like, ooh, you can see all the meat in there.
Yeah,
all the Godzilla meat. The real question I want to ask you guys is, when are we going to get Godzuki? Remember?
I don't think I know Godzuki.
You don't know Godzuki?
No, I don't think so.
He was like the little cute Godzilla.
Oh, got it. Where his looks change.
I'm down for that.
Yeah, Godzuki. Let's do that. Now, what do you guys think what do you think the next movie is going to be?
I don't know.
Make another one, or
it's going to be definitely Godzilla doing that flying, drop kick where he goes flies across. Oh yeah,
he just flies feet first.
Yeah,
into the bad guys. Yeah. Kristal, you got any ideas of where you think they're going to take the franchise?
I think they're going to have to keep the alpha line along, because it's supposed to balance out, which means that we're going to have a lot more Titans suddenly start to pop up and everything. Right. Or they could possibly split it again where they go further into the history. That's what I want to see. I would want to see the history of in the Hollow Earth, Kong's and how he got stuck on the island alone and how they moved from out there to Skull Island. What was that kind of process and everything?
Yeah, I'd like to see one, and they could totally call it Godzilla War for the Hollow Earth or something like that.
I don't think they'll do it. I do want to know more.
Yeah.
I feel like they're not going to do it. I think they want to leave it vague, mysterious, but
yeah, it would be tough too.
But then they shouldn't have put all that stuff in to tease us with it. That's my thing of if they wanted to leave it vague, they could have been oh yeah, we don't know about Hollow Earth or like any of that.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, they could definitely do it, but it would be interesting because if they're going back in time, back to when all this stuff happened, you have to have the whole point of having humans in a Godzilla movie is to explain stuff for us. Like, why are they doing this? Where are they coming from? You know, what are their powers?
Cave people.
Yeah.
They could have like
just cave people with subtitles. Yeah. I would freaking hate that. But yeah, it would be interesting. I would like to see that. I don't know enough about Godzilla to know, like, they've pretty much exhausted all of the, at least all the ones I can think, all of the big monsters.
There's a turtle one, and I don't remember.
Oh, yes, I do remember a turtle. And then there was one from space, but that was Ghidorah, wasn't it?
I think
Ghidorah
it was like
from space?
Mecha Ghidorah.
Mecha Ghidorah. That's next.
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe it's Sharktopus.
That would be fun if they brought in like another franchise, like if they brought in Pacific Rim or something like that.
That would be great, but it would never happen.
I know. The first Pacific Rim was so good.
Yeah.
Freaking kaijus.
They might continue with like the Mecha Godzilla line where it's humans who are trying to create something to stop Godzilla from destroying, because while they're like calling him the savior man, he's like chaotic neutral. You know, he's just balance the world and he doesn't give a shit what he destroys.
Right. Godzilla does what Godzilla wants to do and nothing else. Yeah. They should bring in Ultraman. That would be fucking sick.
Ultraman.
Just some dude in fucking shiny silver suit.
I'll never do that.
I would fucking love it. and I mean, they could make it totally realistic where they invent something like the Pym particles from, Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And it's a dude in a suit and he just like grows up super big and just fucking battles Godzilla.
They'll never do that.
I would love it. I think it would be so good. All right.
Pitch that to them.
Yeah, I know.
You heard it here first.
Exactly, man. If they bring in Ultraman, you guys are gonna fucking eat your words. Yeah. So all of our listeners out there, let us know. What did you guys think of Kong versus Godzilla? What do you think is going to happen next? Let us know down in the comments or on our Twitter and or Instagrams. Kristal, where can we find Sourpuss Podcast?
So we are on Instagram at Sourpuss Pod. You can email us at sourpusspod@gmail.com. Our Twitter is at Podcast Sourpuss. Somehow I got that backwards.
Podcast Sourpuss. Yeah.
And then of course we are on Apple Podcasts and everywhere that connects to that, like Overdrive and everything. And we're on Google Podcasts, Spotify, and we are also listed on Amazon.
Very cool. And so give us a hint. What's your next episode going to be about? Do you know yet?
We don't know just yet. Yeah, we just posted one recently.
Yeah.
And that was our unpopular opinion. So we're like episode 2 ready to lose people because they're just going to get mad at us.
Just a whole episode.
So maybe episode 3 is us crying and begging people to forgive us for our unpopular opinions.
Just a whole episode of just being shills for like everything cool. She's like, well, I like every Marvel movie. It's cool. Brie Larson's the best. She's the coolest actor ever.
We take back what we said about Iron Man sucking.
Yeah. Is that one of your unpopular opinions?
That is one of them, yes.
Wait, whose is it? Yours or Ash?
That one was Ash's, but I can't say I disagree fully.
Like, now when you say Iron Man sucks, is it the character, the franchise, or Robert Downey Jr.?
Okay, first of all, never about Robert Downey Jr. He is perfection. But we just think he's really overrated and that he's kind of an asshole. And I get that that's his thing, being an asshole, but
yeah, I mean,
with that kind of money, you could just buy friends.
Yeah, exactly. Just buy new friends.
It's true. Yeah, you're right. And then we agreed that, along that, because we were talking about Batman and the fact that he's probably an actual asshole, and that he doesn't really do any good. That was my opinion, but
I mean, I could definitely see that, Batman's one of those characters who you've got to wonder, like, is he doing more good than harm? Like,
No, He's going around beating like broke ass crazy people. Like they're all they need, mental help, and he's just bruising them up.
But he's inspiring.
Exactly. He's got so much money. Like his parents weren't killed by a supervillain. They were killed by a normal person on the streets. And yet he's not giving money to the community because then what happens is that these people feel like they have no reason. Let's be honest, in Batman and Robin, like Freeze and Poison Ivy were actually the heroes. They were the villains.
Wayne Corp is not a non-profit. They are a for-profit corporation.
100%.
All right. They're in it.
A lot of profit.
But if he really wanted to make a difference, putting a suit on and beating up random guys and fucking up all of Gotham, probably not the best idea.
Making the shareholders happy. I mean, it's the American way.
He's out there testing products for them.
He's out there just doing research.
Exactly. he's pretending like he gives a shit and he's a hero. He's just a rich asshole.
Now, if you had to pick like one of who's your favorite superhero? It could be Marvel, DC, whatever. Who would be your
Captain America is really high up there.
Fuck yeah.
And that's not just because of Chris Evans.
That is the correct answer. Very cool. Well, I'm excited to see what comes next on the Sourpuss podcast. I'm definitely going to listen to the unpopular opinion ones. I have that queued up.
We're going to drop comments. Just
yeah. Actually,
well, one of you, I don't know which one of you responded to it. Actually,
yeah.
I read off one of your guys's.
Oh, very well. Yeah, I think we both might have.
Maybe
I did. I know I did for sure. I had some hot takes. I have so many hot takes. That's what this entire podcast is about.
Yeah.
But that's definitely a cool one. Well, very cool.
We should do unpopular opinions part 2 with you guys on there too.
Yeah, we are 100% down.
I'm down
to do some cross-pollination as we've done in the past. Very cool. Well, check it out, guys. Make sure you follow Sourpuss Podcast. Give them a listen. You won't be disappointed. It's very funny stuff. I will say my favorite part of the first episode is when you guys were describing the pull-out method. That was pretty cool. Because I watched Bridgerton too, and that guy's pull-out game was so strong. He's just like,
it was strong, but it also doesn't work. Yeah. But yes.
Yeah, it was so funny. I was like, what's he gonna do? I thought he didn't want kids, and he's just like, and he rolls over like hella fast. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
It's funny because she didn't even know what would have she didn't know how kids were made, so she didn't understand any of that. Normal. She's like, what the hell is this?
That's so crazy. Is that how it ends every time?
It's
like,
the
what?
Pressure. There's too much pressure from the pumping that it
blowback. Yeah, exactly. We've all seen that movie, Backdraft.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah, didn't she ask him if it hurt? She's like, "Are you hurt? Does it hurt?"
Oh, just don't look at me.
It's like, just my pride.
Just my pride. Oh my God. But yeah, check it out, guys. Very funny stuff. And you can, of course, check us out at nerdswithfriendspodcast.com, where you find all of our information, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Maybe next week we'll have the OnlyFans up. I just haven't done it yet.
I don't know what we can offer, dude. We'll see.
We can do it.
I mean, tasty bits. Maybe we just bring back
just fun dick shots.
You should do the side boob.
Yeah, just like under boobs, just us holding our nips.
Yeah. Which side boob is this?
Yeah, exactly.
Side boob.
Just do it wrong where we cover everything but the nip.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be fun. We can come up with some fun ideas, I'm sure. But yeah, that's in the process. And of course, if you actually want to support us until our OnlyFans starts up, you can check out patreon.com/nerdswithfriends. Get a bunch of fun rewards on there, including coming on the show, coming up with show episodes, ideas, or reading us your nerdy confessions. Sabrina actually still has to give us some nerdy confessions.
Yes. I will tell her.
She is owed that for being our patrons. Thank you, patrons, for making the show possible. Thank you, Kristal, for coming and spending some time with us talking King Kong Godzilla. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, as always.
No problem. Christian, as always, I appreciate you being here.
Orale.
I appreciate your terrible taste in movies.
I'm going to get you to watch more.
Nope. And to all the nerds out there, remember, you're not alone. You're with friends. This is Nerds with Friends. Thank you and good night.